Hello everyone, let's just jump right in.
So, any person who knows me or has gotten to know me within the past year knows that I care greatly about Beetlejuice the musical. I'll be real, the only reason that I cared about it at first was because of Mr. Alex Brightman. After seeing him in School of Rock and getting to chat with him for a little while after the show, he very quickly became one of my favorite performers. So finding out that he was going to be leading a new Broadway show just filled my heart. I'm sure I'm eventually going to make a whole video about why I love this dude. He rules. So prior to seeing Beetlejuice the musical, I did not listen to the cast album, I did not look up the plot or any changes from the movie. I wanted to go in with a totally fresh experience. The only exposure to the show that I had prior to seeing it were the Today Show and the Tony Award performances. I saw the show this past summer, and now that I've become immersed in this huge culture surrounding the show, my feelings for Beetlejuice the musical and its team have deepened greatly. However, we recently received some pretty unfortunate news. On December 9th, 2019, it was announced that Beetlejuice the musical would be evicted from the Winter Garden Theater as of June 2020. During the fall months, press and advertisements for the new upcoming Music Man revival starring Sutton Foster and Hugh Jackman started being released. Around this time, a lot of rumors started surfacing about the Music Man revival taking the place of Beetlejuice in the Winter Garden Theater, but the cast and crew continuously told people that it was just rumors, nothing was confirmed yet, until December 9th when, to the community's dismay, it was proven to be true. Beetlejuice the musical is to be evicted from the Winter Garden Theater so that the Music Man revival can take its place. If you want more information about the closing itself, I've linked the New York Times article below, and Catherine Steele also did a really good video about the logistics of everything and why things are happening money-wise, so I've linked her video down below as well. So, rather than repeating information that's already out on the internet, I want to use this video to tell you why I think Beetlejuice the musical is wonderful and why I believe it deserves to stay on Broadway. As always, let's start with some visuals and atmosphere. We have the fabulous scenic designer Mr. David Corrins and the brilliant director Alex Timbers to thank for this wonderland of quirky spookiness. The Winter Garden Theater has been transformed into this Burton-esque funhouse. The house lights have been replaced with purple and green bulbs. There's a constant stream of fog emanating from the small break in the curtain. The moving lights are constantly swinging around the theater, highlighting the fog in the air. There's also, the enormous Beetlejuice neon sign that's pointing to the little crack in the curtain. What's gonna come out of there? You behind there, Beetle Boy? Hello? Of course, another huge part of this pre-show atmosphere is the music composed by Matt Stein. And we were blessed with a 44-minute loop of it on the musical's official YouTube channel if you ever want to spook up your life a little bit. Also, speaking of music, we have to give a good shout out to Mr. Eddie Perfect for giving us this wildly fun score. I could groove to Say My Name for weeks and never get tired of it. If you arrive at the theater upon house open, you are well immersed in this world by the time the show begins. Alright, so right off the bat, first scene we see when the show begins. It's like Tim Burton himself made his way to my seat and hit me in the face with a frying pan, but like in the most endearing and special way. The immediately recognizable stylization of the hills and the gravestones and the sky paired with the orchestrations in the opening overture, you know from the get-go that the show is in good hands. Now let's talk about this house. It has a few different versions. There's the Maitland's house, the Dietz's house, the Beetlejuice possessed house, and then there's also the game show and finale house. The overall angular and whimsical shape of the house sort of serves as a skeleton for the whole show. As the house transforms, the walls are different panels that are able to be removed and replaced with the different styles of wallpaper. Each one of these transformations has these unique hand-painted props and set pieces and the panels of the wallpaper. There's also the attic in which we see the literal insides of the house. It's filled with various objects either stored by the Maitlands or the people who built the house. Each aspect of the house is incredibly detailed and further immerses not only the actors on the stage but the audience members as well. Nearly every piece of scenery is either a reference or an Easter egg or an ode to Tim Burton's iconic works. I'm also a huge fan of the Netherworld set. It's ridiculously simple, but that's exactly what it needs to be, is almost nothing. It's just angular lights that seem to go on forever, and it makes the scene where Lydia's searching for her mom so believable. I think what really solidifies the atmosphere of this scene is how it's introduced. When the set changes into the Netherworld, each different rectangle of light turns on its own, and each has a sound effect, and as it gets smaller and smaller, it sounds farther away and more echoey. Final point, no shade to the beautiful work that is Hadestown, but I really think a lot of us can agree that David Corrins deserved that scenic design, Tony. Alright, folks, it's actor time. Let us begin with the unbelievably energetic and hysterical ensemble. They take on so many different eccentric roles, and each of them are distinct and silly. From mourners, to goblin cheerleaders, to various recently deceased people, to literal giant skeletons, it's always a hilarious yet solid foundation to each scene that they're a part of. Dana Steingold is adorable and immediately lovable as the Girl Scout. Kelvin Mulot is fabulously flamboyant and extra as Otho. And not to be dramatic, but I die for Jill Abramovitz's character voices. They are so good and so funny. And then there's Adam Danheiser in here with a big rich dad energy, and it's great. Leslie Kritzer, oh my god, I love this version of Delia. I think all of us know at least one Delia in our lives. She's this awkward, insecure woman who's trying everything she possibly can to get a hold of her life and trick herself into thinking that she's truly happy. And as much as I wanted to dislike her and disagree with her, Leslie Kritzer made me want to be her. I was killed and revived several times because of her vocals and her comedy. Thank you, funny women. She makes it very easy to forget that she's not actually being possessed during Deo. I also really love her silly pronunciation of words. It reminds me a lot of Moira Rose. Shout out to Catherine O'Hara! Also, when she switches to playing Miss Argentina and she slides from a C to an F at the end of What I Know Now, not kidding you, I audibly said, oh my god, in the middle of the theater. Golly gee, Rob McClure and Carrie Butler are so stinking cute! The dynamic between these two is simply delightful. Their individual performances are both so wonderful, so putting them together is just a treat. It makes for an immensely enjoyable storytelling experience. They are both so funny, but in a very different way from the other characters. The Maitland's comedy comes mostly from their charming awkwardness and the way that they innocently respond to all of the ridiculousness that's happening around them. I remember I had another audible oh my god moment when Carrie Butler hit a G at the end of Barbara 2.0. Ridiculous! Who gave you the right, ma'am? Keeping the show grounded is Miss Sophia Ann Caruso as Lydia. I think this version of Lydia resonates with such a broad audience. She's much angrier and more resentful in the musical than she is in the movie, and I think that adds a whole new level to her character. Towards the end of the song Home, when she's saying that she doesn't want to forget her mother, that really got me. Like, I was fighting tears big time. It's just so real. Holy crap. Sophia is otherworldly. She is wickedly mature for an 18-year-old and also has a stupid control over her voice. The noises that come from her would slice my vocal cords into shreds. It's so impressive how Sophia portrays the more intense emotions of Lydia, who's a character that's mostly deadpan. Her Lydia is a total weirdo, but like I said, she's real. And finally, Mr. Bright Monster himself. If you know me, you know that there are few things that I love more than a wildly energetic, chaotic, and committed comedic performance. I got everything I wanted and more from Alex as Beetlejuice. Also, how dare he flex on us all that hard with his ventricular phonation? He didn't have to, but he did. Like, how do you do that but still be so solid on all the notes?
Not everybody can do it, but I can.
We get it. You're talented! Okay, but for real, there was such a fantastic balance of over-the-top bits and subtle bits. Whether it was just like a little gesture or an ad-lib here and there, that is the shit that had me cackling in the mezzanine. My favorite scene in the entire show is the attic scene between Beetlejuice, Barbara, and Adam. First of all, I couldn't get over a lot of the lines, but the one that stuck out to me the most was, new phone, who dis? The way it was delivered as if it was the single most painful thing to say to someone. Just kind of pissed at how funny it was. Seriously, it was the first thing that I texted to my best friends during intermission. Just the timing and the delivery of each of the lines in that scene. Oh, it's just my favorite. It was so good. Jeez, he's just out here doing the most every single day and living the dream. Proud of you, buddy. So, that's why I love the show. Now I want to talk about why I think it deserves to stay on Broadway. So the decision to evict Beetlejuice actually happened prior to last summer, after it had received some pretty nasty reviews after opening in April of 2019. However, it was over last summer that the show's popularity exploded, and it only continued to grow, breaking the box office 8-performance record during Thanksgiving week. As of now, me recording this video, it's now broken the box office record of the Winter Garden Theater 3 times, and right now, as of last week, the week ending of January 5th, it has had 16 consecutive sold-out performances. The show has obviously become wildly popular, and that's not only with fans of Broadway and theater, but also people of all interests and hobbies. And here's why I think that is. This musical is weird. It's silly, it's offbeat, and so many people relate to it, especially creative people. This show has inspired countless performers and artists and musicians and all types of creative people to make things. Whether it be fan art or covers of the songs or even projects that people have put together to give to the actors, it is so clear that this musical has deeply inspired so many people. Its very strong social media presence especially has reached young people. It's also brought this huge community together both online and at the show itself. It's given young people who usually feel alone or outcast or, dare I say, strange and unusual, a place where they feel like they can fit in. There are countless group chats and fan accounts where thousands upon thousands of fans are getting to know each other and creating really good relationships. Myself included, shout out to the idiots. The constant interaction between the actors and the show's various social media teams and the fans makes the show's presence very strong on an everyday basis. The social media team is absolutely dominating, and I think that that's so important for the way the world works now. Now, something that I find particularly special about this show resonating so much with young people is that we're being given these amazing people to look up to. I truly think that Alex and Carrie and really the whole team are all people that we could look up to, not just as performers, but just as genuine people. They're all so kind and so passionate and so responsive to the fans. I believe that these truly genuine people deserve to keep their jobs. I don't know how much we as a community of the general public can do. There are so many factors that are being discussed behind the scenes that we know nothing about. But I do feel very hopeful with the information that we are being given. It really seems that the team is not going down without some semblance of a fight, so I'm ready to do whatever I can to fight along with them. If you are at all able, I highly encourage you to go see this show in its original form while you still can. As I've mentioned before, I am just a sucker for shows that are a great time, and Beetlejuice the Musical does not disappoint. Tweet the absolute out of #SaveBeetlejuice. There's also a change.org petition that has racked up over 33,000 signatures in less than a month, so go sign that if you have a chance. As always, thank you so much for listening to me ramble about the things that I love. If you weren't aware of the situation, I hope that this has enlightened you and perhaps lit a little fire under your behind to go help save the show. Or if you want to talk about it with me, that's why the comments are there. Let me know what you think. Let me know your take on the situation. Let me know how the show has affected you. Let's all come together and make the most of this new year. Hope to see y'all again real soon.